But Clay, that requires a degree of political wisdom, insight, and foresight that you and I and all of you with us now have, but the Mamdani voters don't.
Buck, I cannot believe that New York City is really going to elect Zoran Mamdani. And the more videos I watch, the more deep dive I do on his life story, I'm not sure there has ever been a more transparent liar that has accomplished nothing in his life that is poised for an election victory like Mamdani is. 35 years old, never really done anything of any significance in his life, was raised in Uganda, and unbelievably, 24 years after 9/11, we really have hit the Norm Macdonald joke where everyone now says, oh, can you imagine on the left, the Islamophobia that so many victims of 9/11 had to deal with? And Mamdani claimed to have an aunt that was afraid to wear her hijab on the New York City Metro after the 9/11 terror attack. And now, after it was pointed out that the aunt story couldn't possibly have been true, he now says it wasn't his aunt. It was actually his father's cousin who passed away a few years ago. This is after he was caught in the lie on an aunt. Let's play this. Cut 2, please.
I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo.
I mean, why does that? I mean, if I said to you, Buck, something that, I mean, I've got 2 aunts that both deceased, but if I said something very specific about their life story at a point in my political career, it wouldn't be unfair for people to say, okay, tell me about these aunts of yours.
Yes, he made it an issue. You know, this is the Jussie Smollett. How dare you question me when I'm caught in my lie, sir? Well, yeah, actually, that's how this works. A few things on this, Clay. One is the lack of, first of all, Islamophobia is a nonsense term. I think Christopher Hitchens once said it's like a nonsense term used by thugs to silence idiots or something like that. It was essentially the whole point of Islamophobia is to create some word that shuts down criticism of aspects of a faith that now has about 2 billion adherents worldwide and is certainly something that people should be allowed to discuss. Phobia is an irrational fear of. There was a period of time where there was plenty of rational fear of radicalized elements from within the Islamic world. And by the way, there still is plenty of rational discussion to be had about elements of the Islamic world that are a problem for Western civilization and for the state of Israel, for America, for a whole bunch of things. Okay, but putting that aside for a second, a couple of things. One is, I mentioned this yesterday, it is to America's extreme credit that there was so little, to the American people, there was so little actual Islamic bigotry on display here after 9/11, given the scale of those attacks and the continued attacks that happened. This is something that gets lost in this discussion, Clay. There were further jihadist mass murders of Americans that went on for the better part of 2 decades here. It's kind of slowed down in the last few years, but it was a regular thing. Oh, another bomb goes off somewhere, or someone's run down 10 people for no reason in the street in a mass murder attack. And so with all of that going on, and we had multiple wars and counterinsurgency operations going on against Islamist elements, and billions and billions of dollars spent on security, we effectively have airport security lines because of Islamic radicalism. Thanks, Islamic radicalism. With all of that, they still have to make up stories like this. Zoran Mamdani, he's not telling a story about something that would be truly horrific and wrong. Oh my gosh, the firebombing of a mosque that occurred on, in Brooklyn, right? No, none of that happened. But he's a theater kid cosplaying a radical, and so it's totally normal for him to make up the story of the aunt who, among hundreds of thousands of Muslims in New York City was the one who was too scared to ride the subway with her hijab. Give me a break, dude. Clay, the guy's a fake and he's a phony, but the people voting for him don't care.
Yeah, well, let me hit you with a couple of more clips that continue to get attention. This is in September of 2023. I know most of you know this, but maybe you've got friends or family out there. I just saw a report, Buck, that New York City's mayoral race is on track for the highest turnout since 1993. That was the Rudy Giuliani win. So WOR, people in New York City are woken up. There is a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of interest here. Let me play a couple of these cuts from Mamdani. This is September of 2023. We have to make clear, this is a quote, that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. This is Mamdani again, cut 3, September 2023.
The importance for me of international solidarity is that it takes me out of the American political landscape and reminds me just how tame some of the things are that I'm actually calling for, or that I support. And it reminds me of the necessity of grounding ourselves in the struggles as opposed to the fights around the struggles. For anyone to care about these issues, we have to make them hyperlocal. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. We're in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities to make clear the ways in which that struggle over there is tied to capital's interest over here.
Okay, let me play one more, Buck. And again, he said when the NYPD boot is on your throat, it has been laced by the IDF. Here he is in 2020 saying, we don't need police. They don't create safety. We need to take the money and defund the NYPD. This is about as direct as you can be. Cut 33.
We need to defund these institutions. And I say that as somebody who has grown up in this city, who has seen what these cops can do, and who has seen the ways in which that police have been integrated into every part of our lives, that we had them in our high schools, that we had them in our middle schools. We do not need police to be in these places. They do not create safety. We need to take this money, defund the NYPD, and refund the people.
I mean, this is pretty straightforward. The guy has told you what at least he thought was popular at the time, which is he's a shape-shifting amoeba that is just an actor more than anything else, I think.
Here's the truth, Clay. It's like when they hit him with all these ads. All Cuomo's run a garbage campaign relative to what it should have been. For a guy who, you can tell that he's a Nepo baby who became governor because daddy was governor, and he has a last name that New Yorkers recognize. He was a horrible governor, by the way. He's not a good campaigner. He's actually not a talented politician.
Look, having a lifeline during an emergency is key. Rapid radios can be that lifeline. These are modern-day walkie-talkies. They work on a nationwide LTE network. Rapid radios will keep you connected to family members, particularly when you experience service disruptions caused by natural disasters or power outages. They're small. They fit in the palm of your hand. They're easy to use. Just press a button and boom, you can talk to anyone, anywhere in the U.S. that's also carrying one. Rapid Radios has a battery that lasts for up to 5 days. This holiday, give a gift that keeps you connected to the people you love. No monthly fees, no complicated setup, just pre-programmed, reliable communication when it counts. Because when everything else goes silent, Rapid Radios won't. Go to rapidradios.com. Make sure you and your family always have a way of staying connected. That's rapidradios.com.